This conference will now be recorded.
Right. Very good morning. Good morning. So, any questions from yesterday's session? Any questions? No? Did anyone try that scenario? Swapping the OSs? Yes? Sorry? Swapping?
Swapping.
Yeah. Did you swap the primary volumes? No?
We have take the image or a snapshot. Swapping.
So, why do you take a image then? So, what did I tell you to swap it?
Swap AMIs.
Okay, I just asked you to swap the AMIs. I did not ask you to launch a new instance. Right? So if I ask you to launch a new instance, you can go with image, AMI. But I ask you to swap the OS. The concept is snapshot. Right? Well, so I think did you get confused or you missed that topic?
Actually, image okay, sir.
Yeah.
But something root value not detached or something.
Okay, let's try it. Yeah.
So the range okay, sir. Values, pH value, detached values.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we change the volume types once they are launched?
Yes.
Once they are attached?
Yes.
How is it possible?
We have modified the
Just modify the volume type. Okay. So, yeah. So why we need snapshot? Why we need an image? Okay, so if you want to create if you want to create a backup of instance, it is an image. The volume is snapshot. Okay, that's a backup. What is the other reason?
And to transfer the volume to shift the regions and availability.
So if you want to change the instance regions, right, or availability zones,
Yes.
so we need snapshot or images. Okay, well, so okay, let's talk about today. CloudWatch as well as SNS, simple notification service, and then CloudWatch. So firstly, if I have an instance and instance might have some performance issues, there might be downtime issues, right? So how do you monitor these things? I want to keep monitoring my instance performance, right? How do I monitor it? Or else if something goes wrong with my instance, I want to send some notifications, email triggering, right? So how do you do that? So email notifications will be done through SNS notification service, and monitoring can be done through the CloudWatch. So this is for notification purpose. So if you want to notify, so something is wrong with my instance, notify means emails triggering. So I can use SNS notification service. But when do you want to notify it? If something goes wrong. Okay, what is that? What is the issue? We'll talk about it. But how do you say if something goes wrong? So there must be some other service running in the background and which is monitoring your instance, right? So that is what is CloudWatch. We monitor it using CloudWatch and then we notify it using SNS. So that's the relation between these two. Okay. Now, first let's see. So CloudWatch. Then parallelly we'll be talking about SNS as well. Now, going with first, log into my account. So did anyone try that? What was that? Yeah, copy the image to another accounts.
Yes, sir.
Yes, did it work? Did you change the permissions? Sorry.
So only image we are only template.
Yeah, template is different, image is different. Yeah. What was that? Did you copy that image to the other accounts? How do you do that?
So go to ID name, sir. Other ID.
Copy image, not copy. Select change permission something. What was that option? Modify permission, right? In the modify permission, then you mention the account ID. Right? Try that. Well, go with okay. Take some instance. I just want to go with an running instance. Probably I would go with that instance. Just a second. Right. Well, so this is our instance, and check the instance first, and there you have monitoring. Well, so what do you mean by instance monitoring? Instance monitoring means you just monitor its CPU utilization. So how much percentage of CPU it is utilized. So you can see that. So here you have now. See, they used to give some 1 second. Do they have it now? 1 second. Yeah, okay, probably that might work. So, and there is your instance CPU utilization, the percentage, how much it is used. So maximum about, what is that? 0.401. And this is the time. So I'm monitoring for every 5 minutes, 225, 230, so on. Monitoring for every 5 minutes. Now, see CloudWatch, using that CloudWatch, select the instance. Once you select that, then you have monitoring option. How the monitoring is being done? Monitoring is being done using CloudWatch. CloudWatch is another service and which is integrated into EC2 so that I can use that CloudWatch here within that EC2 itself. Okay, you don't need to go to the CloudWatch and you don't need to monitor through the CloudWatch. So there you have EC2 and select the instance and click on monitoring, and there you can have EC2 your CloudWatch. Okay, so that's an integrated, even though it's a other service, CloudWatch is another service which is integrated into EC2. I can use that CloudWatch here itself. Okay, well, and then you can monitor its status files if there are any status files. Okay, and so why this is failed, you can see the status check files, and then also you can monitor even its networks. So network incoming and network outgoing, which is in bytes. How much network is incoming and outgoing network in bytes, and this is in packets. So this one is in bytes and this one is in packets, number of packets. Okay, and then you have this read and write operations. So this is again read operations in bytes, and this is in that's read write operations in bytes, and this is number of read operations. Okay, so the second one you see, this is the one which is your number of read operations, the count, whereas this is in bytes. Okay, that. So CPU credit usage and the balance, that means how much it is used, how much is balanced, how much is left handed. So this is again something like you have on your Windows, you have task manager, right? The same thing. Okay, so that is what you monitor. Now I want to set up, see, CloudWatch is not only for monitoring. Of course, I can monitor it, but is it only purpose is monitoring it? No. Now I want to set up some alarms. So what kind of alarms I want to set it up? So like I said, for example, take this example. So what is the CPU utilization? Something like 401, 0.401. Now, so there might be some chances that my CPU utilization of the instance, it might go beyond 75%, 80%. When you have huge traffic or each instance is performing number of operations, then CPU utilization might go high than 75 or 80%. Now, in this case, so there are very good chances that my instance get crashed, right? So that's why I want to set up some notifications. I want to set up some alarms. What alarm? If my instance utilization, CPU utilization is more than 75, more than 80%, then I want to send some notifications. I want to trigger some alarms. So even those alarms can be set up through CloudWatch. Okay, that is CloudWatch. Now we see how do we set up the CloudWatch alarms? So on the EC2. So this CloudWatch or CloudWatch alarms are monitoring. So we'll be coming across even in the future when we talk about databases, when we talk about load balancers. Even there we use, even the deployment part, we use this CloudWatch. Okay, but anyway, first let's see for this instance how do I set up the alarm. So what is the condition is, we'll talk about the condition anyway now. So on to the right, scroll it right. Now you see that alarm status, as of now we have no alarms. Okay, now set up the alarm. Just click on that plus, set up the alarm. You see that I'm setting up the alarms from EC2 itself. I don't need to go to CloudWatch. Even you can do it. See, this is my CloudWatch, right? And you can create a CloudWatch alarm over here. So where is that option? There might be option over here to create alarm. So where is it? Top. Yeah, try out. Where is it?
Services alarm.
So in alarms, somewhere here. Yeah, I think they have option called create a new alarm. Okay, so you can create new alarm, and that you can do it from the CloudWatch and or else. So this is the best option. That's why it is integrated with your EC2. Even CloudWatch is integrated. For example, I'm creating a database, and for the database, I want to set up some alarms. So this CloudWatch is integrated to many other services. Some of the other services we have in AWS. This is EC2 is one of the service. Okay, well. Now I want to create alarm, or you want to edit alarm? Yes, I want to create alarm. And then notification. So I want to trigger some notification. So what alarm does? Now this CloudWatch alarm does two things. The first one is it is going to send notification. So what kind of notification? Email notification. And secondly, the CloudWatch alarm also responsible for to take some actions on the instance. So what actions? So select the actions, and then you have actions. So recover, restart. There is no restart. I'm sorry. Reboot, stop, as well as terminate. These are the different actions. So CloudWatch is responsible for notifications as well as actions. Okay. Well, now first I want to trigger some notification on. So in what cases you want to trigger notification? There you have alarm threshold. You set up some threshold values. Once the threshold is so satisfied, or if the threshold is so if the value is reached more than the threshold value, then alarm will be triggered as well as actions will be performed. So what is the threshold value? We'll talk about it. But firstly, go with, I want to send some notifications. If you want to send a notification, to what email ID you want to send a notification? Right. So enter the email ID over here. But do you see any email ID?
No.
No, right? So if the email ID is already available, then I can select the email ID. That means email IDs must be registered within your account first. So can I enter some random email IDs over here? No, that's not possible. I cannot enter some random email IDs. I must go with, so register that email ID on my AWS account. Then I can select those email IDs. Am I clear? Well, so going with first. Now that is why we have SNS. So you register that email ID through SNS, and then that SNS email ID will be selecting from this option. Let's see first, how do you select that? How do you create an SNS? Now, so it is SNS, simple notification service. See, that is another service, right? That service is integrated within your EC2 again. So we are under EC2, right? That is again integrated with EC2. Remember these points. So we'll talk about them under security side. Okay. Well, so just go with, that's the dashboard. Okay, go to topics first. You create a topic. So what is a topic? So you're creating an alarm, right? I'm sorry, you're creating you're registering an email ID. So for what purpose, where are you going to use that email ID? That means, so are you going to use that email ID for EC2 purpose, or some databases purpose, or some deployment purpose? So create that topic. This is just a topic. So create the topic first. Okay. Now, so go with standard. Okay, this is the standard method is used especially for notifications of emails. Okay, go with standard method and give some topic name. The topic name is, give some topic name which we understand. So CloudWatch for EC2. That's my topic name. Okay, this is my CloudWatch for creating for EC2 purpose, and then also display name. So that's it. Don't do any settings over here. Just skip it and create a topic. So we just have created alarm. Sorry, we just have created a topic. But did I enter the email ID over here? No, right? Then go with, so create subscription. Click on create subscription, and here you enter the protocol type. Okay, what is the protocol type? Is email type of protocol. Now, so what is that ARN? Amazon resource name. Every resource you create on AWS has an ARN name. For example, I'm creating an EC2 instance. That instance has an ARN name. Every instance or every resource you create that has a unique ARN name. That's unique for that particular resource. Okay, that's ARN name. And then now endpoint. So what is the email ID? Select some email ID. So what email ID I would go with? That's email ID. Okay, and then yeah, that's it. Select the protocol and then the email address. Okay, create a subscription. That is what is subscription means. First you create a topic, and second step, what is that? Yes. So create subscription. In the create subscription, you enter the email ID. To which email ID you want to send notifications? Well, now pending. So the user or that email ID must confirm your request. Okay. Now go to the email ID, which I go with my email ID. That's email ID. So there you have a notification. Okay. So, and here you just confirm subscription. Okay. So confirm the subscription. So it has been confirmed. Right. And back to the SNS. Refresh. Now this is confirmed. Okay. So very simple steps. Let me create another topic. So first create a topic, and then you select standard. Why do I select standard? Since I want to go with email, so give some name. Let's say CloudWatch for, let's say, RDS. That means database. So I will be using this CloudWatch for database. That's the reason I'm naming this as, this is a CloudWatch alarm I will be using for my database. Okay, but you can select it for any other purposes, but better you name it as which is convenient for us. Well, that's a topic, and in subscription, create a topic, and go with create subscription, and then so HTTP, sorry, email protocol, and then email ID. You can select same email ID or other email ID. That's not a problem. Select it. Now it is. So request has been sent back to the. So there is a subscription. No, that's a one. Yeah. Which one is the latest one? This was the latest one, right? 1 second. No. 2 minutes ago. This is one.
We didn't get mail.
Sorry.
We didn't get mail.
Yeah, that's one. 4518. 4518. Just wait for. Sometimes you might find it somewhere under trash. Trash. What is the junk mail? Where do you see the junks? Spam, right? There might be some chances. Okay, I think since we have registered this before, I think it's waiting for this. Sorry. Yeah, there it is. Confirm subscription. But this is for same 4518, right? No. Yeah, selected. That's okay. 1 second. This is for 3 minutes. This is the one. 1 second. Let me check that latest one. Okay, whatever. Select that. Okay. Let's confirm and then refresh. Yes, it's confirmed. Correct. Right. So now how many topics we have? So we have 2 topics. Now back to the EC2 CloudWatch, and then just uncheck and check. Do I need to refresh? I think I should refresh it. Let's refresh. And so notification, selecting notification. I select for EC2. Okay, you can select this one as well. That's not a problem. But you differentiate. I mean, I have created my alarms for different purposes. So RDS. So the reason is, so EC2 is monitored by. When it comes to securities. For example, I'm a DevOps engineer or I'm an administrator. As an administrator, so my responsibility is to take care of EC2. Okay, but in my team there is another user, another team member. His responsibility is monitoring RDS, taking care of RDS instances or databases. So that user, when in the RDS part, in this alarm, I will be providing his email ID, and in the EC2, So I will be providing my email there. Okay, so that is how it is done. So select the EC2, and then there you have node alarm actions. So what are the actions? Now I want to stop my instance, okay. Or else you can go with reboot the instance. You can recover the instance, you can select it, but stop the instance. Now in what cases I want to stop instance, or in what cases I want to trigger the alarms? So trigger the emails, I mean, okay. Simply, so what is the condition? This alarm will be triggered. Now set the value now. Now go with if average, then you have all the metrics. So do you remember these are the metrics? So we were going through at the EC2 monitoring level, CPU utilization, disk read and write operations. These are all the metrics. Now I would go with CPU utilization and alarm when greater than or equals to, or else we have conditions again, greater than, less than, all these conditions. If CPU utilization, average CPU utilization is greater than or equals to 75%, and then
0.7.
sorry.
Only one CPU.
So the consecutive time period is, let's say, 3, and then 5 minutes. What does it mean? See, in some cases, even when you look into your instance, task manager, so where is that? Services, applications. Where do I see that black window? Here, right? You see that? So there is a spike. You see the spike? So it's reaching up to the maximum. You see the spike? Yes. So this might happen sometimes for the instances. Okay, they may go up to the maximum, but they come down again. You see that? They may come down. So that happens quite frequently. Okay, but if you mention that one, if the spike happens, that means what is the spike in our case? 75%. If the instance utilization or CPU utilization is reached up to 75 or more than 75 once in last 5 minutes, so what actions will be happening? Instance will be stopped, and then alarm will be triggered. Notifications will be triggered. But so I don't want to go with one, because sometimes it might happen. So that is very usual. I want to see at least 3 times or 4 times that happens within that consecutive 3 times in last 5 minutes. Okay. Usually it happens once or twice, but if it happens more than 2 times, that means 3 times or 4 times in the last 5 minutes, then those actions will be taken. Okay, clear? So go with 3 and then 5 minutes, then alarm. So alarm name, that's just the name of the alarm. You can give any name. Well, and then that is your condition. So that's the threshold I have set up. Okay. So create alarm. But if I create this alarm, see what is our average CPU utilization of the instance? It is about 0.401 something, right? So there is no way that it can go up to 75% in our example. That is the reason I changed the condition. What is that? Less than or equals to. I just want to show you this practically. That is the reason I've changed the conditions. But so in usually you go with more than, greater than 75% or 80%. So since I want to show you something practically, then I want to set it up less than or equals to 75. Okay. So save it. So that's the current CPU utilization. You said currently what is utilization? 0.165. That's the current utilization. Well, anyway, just create it.
So why don't we go for 0.7?
You can go with anything.
Actually, we have only one CPU.
Sorry.
We have
Yeah.
only one CPU.
So
So the max is only one,
What is maximum is 1?
something 70%. Is it percentage or?
Those are not CPUs, those are virtual CPUs. Okay, those are not CPUs, those are virtual CPUs. Okay. When I say CPU means, say, did you ever see what is that Core i3 processors? What do you mean by i3 processors? What is your system configuration? What do you mean by i3 or i5?
We have 2 ports.
Yeah, 3, 5.
Three processors.
Yeah, that means you have multiple CPUs. You have multiple CPUs, but when you monitor your system through the taskbar, so do you see multiple CPUs over here? Then, so all these 3 GR4 CPUs you have on your system, so that is all considered as performance. Finally, average. Okay, what is the performance? Okay, that considered based upon the system performance. Okay, so you cannot set up if you have 3 processors or 5 processors. Does not mean that you set up 5 different processors for 5 different CPUs. No. Okay. So ultimately, we want our instance needs to be running with high performance. We don't worry about that internally hardware level. Yeah. But now, so refresh. So is it the instance? No, right? That's not the instance. Well, where is the instance gone? It's already stopped, I guess. Just a second. The instance name was outbox instance, right? Now, see that instance is already stopped, and then notification.
Actually, we selected less than 70.
So there you have notification. Okay. So now it has set up the notification. So because of, so you can see the reason as well. There you can see the reason. So because of CPU utilization, okay, that's a metric name. You can see that, one second, let me show you. Insufficient EC2, just a reason. You see somewhere here, let's say 75. Okay. Less than or equals to threshold value. What is the threshold we have set up? 75. Okay. So since the condition is satisfied, then I have my notification triggered, and also instance is being stopped. There it is. Okay. So we are just monitoring it, right? We are monitoring it as well as we're getting some notifications. We are taking some actions. But think in terms of a production level. Okay. So this is my production instance. Let's say some outbox application running on it, some email application, outbox application running on it. And all of a sudden, what happened? My instance, I have set up some threshold values. Because of threshold values, my instance is stopped. Then, but there is a production instance. Then, so the application will be down. Is it correct? Yes or no? So, and in this case, what you can do?
Increase the CPU.
If you increase the CPU, instance will be crashed. Right? Sorry?
Do not add any actions.
You do not add actions. If you do not add actions,
It will crash.
so that's not a good practice. Don't do it. Sorry? Scaling. Good. Right? So these actions might help you out to reboot them. So for example, let's say I selected reboot my instance. So in the actions, I select reboot. If you reboot it, how long it takes to reboot your instance? It might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes. Right? So I don't want to reboot it. So in this case, I would go with a concept called scaling up. Okay, I want email triggers. I want my emails needs to be triggered, but same time, so it has to add another instance. That is what we call scaling up. So there comes your scaling, auto scaling groups. Okay, so that's all about in the future, not now. So we have our scales, load balancers, we have different things. But This is only for your idea purpose. That means notification purpose also. You want to take some actions, you can take some actions. Okay, good. So you can do all the things. Now going through even CloudWatch alarm. So go to CloudWatch, service, I'm sorry, CloudWatch service, CloudWatch. So I have set up the CloudWatch alarm from the EC2, or else you just come to your CloudWatch dashboard, and here also you can set up the CloudWatch alarm. So which one I have set up now? So this is the one I have set up. Okay. So whatever alarms you set up, they'll be appearing in the CloudWatch. Or else you want to create the CloudWatch alarms from here itself, you can create the CloudWatch alarm. Same actions anyway. Select the metric. Okay. So whenever you select the metric, you select your on which instance, which service, EC2. Okay. And then or else you have RDS, or else you have some other services like code build. Also you have code deploy services, which is at bean status. Okay. So there you select the CloudWatch alarms. But so this is, we are setting up alarm at the CloudWatch level, but you need to select the type of service where you are, for what purpose you are creating the alarm. So in order to avoid these things, I want to make it simplified. That is the reason I made alarms from the EC2 itself. Set up the alarm, click on it. So by default, you're setting up the alarm on the EC2 since you are under EC2. So when you go to RDS, like database service, some other services, when you set up the alarm will be set up on that service itself. Okay, we can do that from CloudWatch. It's all same. Right. Right. So you set up the alarms again, or else you want to edit the alarms, you can edit the alarms. Search for the alarms. So just try that. So these are the alarms I have set up for other purposes, for auto scale group purposes. That's okay, leave them. But in your case, you create the alarms. You create alarms at least for 2 to 3 instances, and you set up the metrics. Now this is one important question over here. What kind of metrics we have selected, or what are the different types of metrics we can set up the CloudWatch alarms? What are the metrics? CPU utilization, discrete and write operations. Also we have network traffic, and then you also have CPU left, how much balance is left. Yeah. So these are the major things. So first is network incoming outgoing traffic, discrete and write operations, and then CPU utilization. These are the major metrics. Okay. So what do you mean by network incoming outgoing traffic? Let's say network in. What is network in?
Traffic.
The byte, how much number of bytes of traffic is coming in onto my instance. Okay, so that's in bytes. So you see that whenever you download something, right, you see that number of bytes. Okay, number of bytes incoming, number of bytes outgoing. So that is what is your bytes in data in bytes, right? So then we also have discrete and write operations. So specially we set up these read and write operations for database purposes. If my database is doing number of write operations, okay. If my database is doing number of read operations, databases means they do read and write operations. What do you mean by write? Yeah, you want to insert some data into your database, that is read, and you want to read the data, right? So in those cases, you can set up the alarms as well. So this is one important question at database level. But anyway, so remember these 3 metrics. Good. Even that is also a question. So when did you set up that discrete operations? When do you set up that CPU utilization? Okay. So back to services again. I go with another service called under compute. I select that Elastic Beanstalk. So Elastic Beanstalk. So what is that Beanstalk? So Beanstalk is called platform as a service. Okay. So what is that platform as a service? Now, simply, I create some environments under Beanstalk, and you see that. So go with some web server environment. Just select it first. I'll explain the purpose of it. So whenever I select it, so there you have something called platforms. So usually, whenever, for example, let's say I want to go with install some Docker. Okay, so where do you install the Docker? On an instance. First I create EC2 instance, then I log into that, then I install the Docker. Then you will be having Docker available. Or let's go with I want to have some Java, JDK. So what do? You first create instance and then select you install the JDK platform. But instead of doing it, so AWS provides Beanstalk option. So where you can see the platforms ready. So which platform? Select the platforms, right? So you have Docker and you have Golang application, and then you have Java, Node.js, Python, even they have Tomcat. Simply you select the required platforms you want to install on your instance, and then so launch the instance. Yeah. So what I have selected now, selected Docker, or else go with, let's say, Java. And then when you go with Java, you select the Java versions, and then that's the platform version. Platform version is your Beanstalk version. This is your Java version. So do I need to install Java on it again? So is it going to create EC2 instance? Is it going to create EC2 instance for us? Yes, it creates an EC2 instance. But so what is the platform pre-setup? The platform is Java platform is pre-setup. Okay, I can do these things even through EC2, right? I can launch EC2 instance and I can install that Java. But why I'm going with this platform service then?
Inbuilt. Both are connected.
Both are. Oh, that is already inbuilt. That is pre-installed. Okay, that's a good advantage. Any other reasons? So let me tell you. So usually, if you go back to your EC2 instances, sorry. Maintenance. Okay. One second. So go with some instance. So just now we have discussed a topic, right? What was the topic? Auto scaling. So what is auto scaling means? If instance is stopped, then I want to launch another instance. So let me just show you the example. So we are not discussing auto scaling concepts over here. Okay, I'm just giving you an idea how auto scale works. Okay. Go with select the instance. Okay, that is my EC2 instance. Have some application deployed on it. So what I'll be doing, I will be going with select the instance. Sorry. So I want to stop the instance. So assume that my instance is, because of some reasons, it is being stopped. What is the reason is the CPU utilization of the instance is more than 70%. Because of that reason, instance is being stopped. Let's stop the instance manually. If that is stopped, now according to the auto scale concept, what has to happen? Another new instance, the replica of the instance should be created. So it will be creating a new instance. Okay, since I've set up all the concept there. So what is the concept is? I've created instance. Once instance is created, for that instance, I've set up some auto scale groups. I've set up all the conditions over there. Okay, so there you set up the conditions. Nothing but for that instance, I've set up these auto scale groups manually. So this is auto scale group for that instance. So what did I do first? So I have set up the instance. Then I have created auto scale group for that instance. Then instance will be running with high availability or scaling up instances. Nothing but did I do all these things manually or not? I have set up the auto scale conditions. I have set up the groups, all these things manually. But so if I go with Beanstack, you don't need to set up the auto scale groups. So automatically, if that instance is down, then it will be launching another instance for the same instance. But do I need to create auto scale groups? Do I need to create the groups? Do I need to set up the auto scale conditions?
No.
Not required. AWS will take care of those conditions. Okay. So is the idea clear? Then think about the idea. Don't worry about the logic. The logic will be implemented later. But you understand the difference between now and EC2 instance and Beanstack instance. So for EC2 instances, auto scale groups needs to be set up manually. For Beanstack instances or Beanstack applications, you don't need to set up the auto scale groups. So that is already under auto scale group, which is set up by AWS. That's advantage. Okay. So now, one second, back to EC2. Now, so our instances. There you can see a new instance should be launched. I think that is our new instance. I guess you see that it is, what is the status is? Initializing. What this is initializing, for the EC2 instance, I have set up my auto scale groups. So that's the concept of auto scale groups. But so for the instance which I'm going to create under Beanstack, I'm not going to do any auto scales, nothing. Simply I create the instance. Okay, let me show you. So firstly, give some. See, this is basically Beanstacks are created for application deployment purpose, not for Java purpose. Of course, we have Java, but on those Beanstack instances, we deploy our Java applications. So what is advantage then? These instances, Beanstack instances, they come with free setup of auto scale groups. That's advantage. That's why we use it for Beanstack. Sorry, deployment purpose. If your application is running on this Beanstack instance, then is auto scale group automatically done or not?
Yes.
Which is high availability. Okay, good. So give some name. Let's say some application one something. So name of the application one, and then some environment name. So go with some application one environment. So just leave these ones and then select the platform. So what platform? I would select some, for my purpose, let's say Tomcat. Okay, so Tomcat will be pre-installed on it. What is Tomcat? It is an web server where we deploy the web applications. That's it. Okay, well then go with just go with sample application, create an environment. Then your Beanstack will be ready, your environment will be ready. So it is creating, and this will be creating, of course, an EC2 instance. You see here. Now back to EC2 instances, refresh it. So what was the name I have given? Application one, it was, right? So you can see an instance created with application one. Okay, wait for it. So even though it creates an EC2 instance, but again, the same thing, the Beanstack will take care of, what is that? Auto scale groups. Okay, one thing, let it be launched. It is creating that. And so this instance, this Beanstack service will be deploying applications, not now. When you go to the CI/CD concept, So AWS has the concepts like CI/CD concepts, code commit, code build, code deploy. This is for DevOps purpose. I want to do continuous integration. I want to do continuous deployments. I want to create the pipelines on AWS. Then you can go with those services. At that time, when I go with the deployment step, deployment service, I will be doing a deployment onto this Beanstalk instances. Okay, that's in the future, not now, but now just look at here how to set up the Beanstalk instance. That's it, simple. Okay. The purpose, we'll talk about that when you go to design the pipelines. We'll talk about that concept. Okay, well, so it's creating it. You see that creating. What is creating? Auto scale group. Yes. Now you can see that auto scale group. That's auto scale group name. And where do you see that? Under auto scale groups. Scroll down. There you have auto scale groups. So it is also creating its own auto scale group. Right. So, but for other things, you see that these are the auto scale groups I have set up manually for EC2 instances. Okay. Now check the EC2, check the instances. So application one something. What was the name? Yeah, there it is. So it is initializing, but there is application 1 in 1. So that's initializing, that's creating. And once it is initialized, you can see that Tomcat will be running on that instance. And if I stop that instance, automatically it is going to create a new instance. See how simple, right? So we are not installing any platforms on these EC2 instances. So it is already pre-configured. Just imagine in terms of especially deployment purpose. I'm doing a deployment. I don't need to worry about auto scales. I just launch Beanstalk instance. I deploy it. Rest of the things will be taken care by the AWS. So that's the advantage of Beanstalk. 1 second, just let it be launched. But Beanstalk also a paid service, so this is not for free. Okay. Now, but you might be having a question, right? What is the instance type? Why did you not micro?
It's a free instance.
But I will have my application size. I want that has to be running on so 8 GB memory and then about 3 CPUs or 4 CPUs.
You have changed the
Why did it take T2.micro?
Auto scale.
So by default, Beanstalk takes T2.micro, right? So that is a drawback again. Even it has a drawback. But what if my instance? Oh, sorry. What if my application is like about a huge application? I have number of users. So I mean thousands of users trying to access the application from the Beanstalk. How many times are you going to do this load balancing auto scaling? Well, there are drawbacks. Anyway, first let's look into this action. Sorry, not action. So stop the instance. So that will be stopped, and then we'll be creating a new instance.
Completely stop the variance is created code.
Complete?
Stop this, the variance is created automatically.
Yeah. Sorry, I could not.
The stop is the variance is created. Stop this.
Another instance. Okay, if you stop even that instance, there will be another instance created. Okay, that is the concept of high availability, auto scale concept. Okay. So even if you stop the another instance, it is going to create another instance.
Completely delete the
Completely stop
service.
here, sir.
That's not stopping, that is terminating. Okay. Even if you terminate it, whether you terminate that, whether you stop it, so it will be launching a new instance. Okay. We don't call it stopping, that is called terminate. Okay. Is any instance which is being initiated. So check the statuses. Anyone is being initiated will be initiated.
But you are stopping it manually. Even if it's stopping manually, also it starts creating another new.
Yes. So whether it's manual or because of some other reasons, so it is auto scale, right? So whether you do it, see, since I can't show you that practically, I can't take my instance up to 75%. That's not possible practically. So that is the reason I stopped it manually.
But you may stop the instance for some other reason.
Yes. Why do you stop your production instances?
There's a production issue.
Right? Why do you stop your production instances? Yeah. Well, say that the previous one is terminated and now it has created a new one. So even though I stop the instances, what is happening then? It is terminating the instances. That's the concept of auto scale. So you have stopped the instance, but so that is being terminated. Why? The instance is no more required. So this instance will be launched as, in this instance will be working as your primary instance. Okay. But what if I want to have multiple instances? Is it clear? So I think we are going into detail of auto scale. Should not be done actually. Well, so let me give you a small idea. This is my auto scale group. Okay. So then my instance is running in the group. So that is my instance. Okay. So what is the condition I have set up? More than 75. So what has to be done? If the instance percentage, CPU percentage more than 75, so it has to launch a new instance, right? New instance will be launched. Okay. So how many instances it is launching? Only one. The previous one will be terminated and this a new instance. But I want multiple instances. I want always, instead of one, I want two instances running all the time. Is it clear? I want two instances running all time. So why do you want two instances running? High availability. Okay. So or else because of the usage of the application. So when I'm expecting at least like 10,000 users per second. So managing all these things on the one instance is not possible. I want two instances. So you can manage, we can maintain always at least two instances in it. That's also possible. Am I clear? So anyway, don't worry about these auto scale groups. We'll talk about in detail. But do you understand the difference now? EC2 versus a Beanstalk. That's the difference. Okay. You can try to launch and Beanstalk instance as well. Just launch it. So we'll be doing deployments later, not now. Just launch and Beanstalk instance. So try that. Right. So now it's almost like 9:40. So let's finish out a bit early today. So because I have some appointment, I just need to meet someone. So even if we start one more service, I think we won't be able to finish it off. I wanted to start actually an S3, which is a storage service, and also Route 53. So now, anyway, it takes at least 1.5 hours to finish these two. These three are somewhat related actually. So I'm going to take an example. So S3 is for storage purpose actually. If you want to store your data, you store the data. For example, I have an application. say something, I have something like sample application. And that application, I will be storing it on S3. After I store my application on S3, I would like to host it. So what is hosting?
Deploying into us.
Not deploying, hosting.
Start from like
Like for running application.
Not deploying, hosting.
ready to launch.
Organizing.
Yeah. So make sure that application can be accessed by the users. That is what is hosting. Or else application should be available on the web. That is what is hosting, right? Anyway, so yeah, so you know these what we call, like there are some websites we use it for hosting purpose. They provide the domain names. Yeah, GoDaddy, these kind of websites. So what is the purpose? You buy the domain and then you host your applications, right? So for example, you are a web designer. You have designed some application, right? What do you do next? You host it. So how do you host it? From third-party web servers. Okay, third-party DNS. But I don't want that. I'm an AWS user. I know very well how to design my web application. I'm a web designer. Then I want to host that application again through AWS. I don't want any third-party providers. We can use Route 53. Yeah, Route 53 is for hosting purpose. You can host your applications. Right. So we'll take that example. Probably we won't be able to finish it off in today. So let's take this example in the next session. Okay. So Route 53. So do we use it? We use it, but there are other purposes also we use it. But anyway, so let's postpone this topic to next week. Yeah. Any questions on this? Understand the purpose now, the CloudWatch. And also you can do one thing. Once your Beanstalk instances are set up, for those Beanstalk instances, you set up the CloudWatch alarm. You set up the CloudWatch alarm. Yeah.
Sir, మనం ఈజీ టు నుంచి ఇన్స్టాన్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు 5-6 స్టెప్స్ ఫాలో అవుతాం బేసిక్
Yeah. Yeah.
సో ఇప్పుడు ఆ ఎలాస్టిక్ బీన్స్ లో డైరెక్ట్ గా ప్లాట్ఫామ్ తో పాటు ఇన్స్టాన్స్ వస్తాం. సో మనకు కావాల్సిన కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ ఎలా వస్తుంది సార్? బై డిఫరెంట్ గా నాకు సెక్యూరిటీ గ్రూప్ లో ఇన్బౌండ్ అవుట్బౌండ్ ఇలా రూల్స్ తీసుకుంటాం.
Yeah.
సో అవి చేంజ్ చేసుకోవాలంటే మళ్ళీ మాన్యువల్ గా మనం చేయాలి.
Yes, you can change the security groups. Okay. So for example, you have Elastic Beanstalk, and then so that is your instance, and your security groups. So you have security groups again. That's your security group. And which security group is selected by default? It is going to create its own security group. That's your security group name. Okay. And then you have inbound rules. So and then outbound rules. These inbound outbound rules are set up according to the type of platform. So what do you mean by type of platform? So when you go with Beanstalk, yeah, based upon the platform. Okay. Since I have selected my platform as Tomcat, so Tomcat is a web server. So since it's a web server, so what is the platform I have selected? Tomcat. Since it's a Tomcat, it's a web server, so it has set up HTTP as your inbound rule. Okay, sorry, I want it. Once back to the instances. So what was inbound rule? You see that HTTP, right? So those all default ones. But however, once instance is set up, you can modify all the securities and all the networks things. But you need to do it again. Yeah, that's a drawback. That's what I said. Okay. So select the instance and then securities, and then so security group, it is HTTP. Okay. Even the outbound is by default it's all traffic, so there is your HTTP. And in this example, if you select something like, let's say I select Docker, then it is going to create a different type of protocol. What protocol it's going to set up? HTTP, not HTTP, TCP, probably TCP it is going to set up. TCP. Okay. So those security groups are set up again by default setups. So you need to modify. If you want to modify, just you modify them. Even the networks, you see the networks of the instance. See the networking, and you can see that network over here. That's in network. One second, there is your VPC. That's your network. So every time when you create an Beanstalk instance, it creates its own network, VPC. Okay, that's a network. Yeah. So these ones needs to be modified. That's correct. So you cannot do all these settings while Beanstalk instance is set up, because the platform, it is setting up the platform for you. If everything is done, again you can go with EC2, right? So what is the purpose of Beanstalk? Right? That's all. Yeah. Any more questions? So just do one thing. So you create EC2 instances. Also, if possible, create Beanstalk instances. For both of them, set the CloudWatch alarms, set the notifications. And then in the notification, you can set up the different metrics, CPU utilization. You can try only with that. Or if you want to try that, so read and write operations, you can try it. But the value, if you want to see, if you want to implement that manually, if you want to see the result manually, sorry, if you want to see the result, and CPU utilization set up something like minimum, then you can see the result, notifications, also actions. If you set up more than 75%, practically in our examples, it's not possible. Might be possible in real time, but it's not possible. So that's what you set up for both of them. And then for Beanstalk instances, once it is created, try to stop the instance and see that whether it is launching a new instance. Okay, and also do SSH onto the EC2 Beanstalk instance. Is it clear? Try to do SSH login to that instance. Am I clear? How do you do that?
We need to change the bound rules.
Change the inbound rules. Add the inbound rules, then do SSH. So this is one of the frequently asked question interviews. So I'm trying to log into my instance. So doing SSH, I'm trying to do SSH onto my instance, but I have an issue. What was the issue? Session timeout. What are the solutions? How do you debug these issues? I already have given this issue, solution question as well at the time of EC2 itself when we are discussing SSH. How do you debug that issue? What are the solutions you suggest? See, there won't be straightforward questions, right? So always there are these set of questions, scenario basis questions in interviews. So no one is going to ask you what is inbound, what is outbound. Everyone knows it, what is inbound, what is outbound. Right? So what is security group? Everyone knows it. So the questions will be something like this.
Increasing time of settings and
Putty time. So don't worry about it. Yeah, talk about technically. Putty. Say, my question was, you're trying to log into the instance. You enter the IP address over here. Okay, you enter the IP, but you're connecting. So it's keep connecting, and all of a sudden, it is not connected. Remember, all of a sudden, you got a message called session timeout. What do? It's not connected. It's keep loading. It's not connected. What are the solutions you suggest, or how are you going to debug them? So definitely you'll be having question on it. The reason is, here we discuss many services. We discussed regarding EC2, we discussed regarding securities, we also discussed regarding VPCs. So we discussed many things. Now tell me things you know so far. How do you debug these issues from the things we have discussed so far? How do you debug it? No idea?
Sorry, Krishna, can you repeat it again?
Yeah, so I'm trying to do SSH onto EC2 instance. I have an EC2 instance. Okay, I'm trying to do SSH. That means through PuTTY, I like to log in, enter the IP address of the EC2 instance. But it's not allowing me to do connect, allowing me to connect. So I got an error called session timeout. What's the issue?
Few things to check. First, to see if the EC2 instance is running or not.
Okay.
Once you've checked, once you see that it's running or not, then
Okay.
you'll also need to see if the private key for that, if that's a Linux session,
Okay.
if that's a Linux or a Windows session, because Windows sessions we can directly RDP. Linux sessions we need to
Okay. Just
we need
okay.
to
Key is correct. Okay. Fine. Next.
key. And after the key, then the rules, inbound rules for that session,
Okay.
if they are available to accept it or not.
Okay. So do I need to check the outbound rules or only inbound rules?
We need to check the outbound rules also, because that will be the network level rules that we need to check if they are accepting the sessions or not. But we
So-
wouldn't know how to
Go
network.
on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Next.
These
Go ahead.
would be some. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So see here, these are correct points. You check the status, you check the key, is it correct key, check the status. But I don't need it, I don't need to check the outbound rules. Only inbound rules. So when do you check the outbound rules? So here I'm trying to log in. Since you're logging in, you need only inbound rules. You don't need outbound rules. Okay? Okay, fine. Next is, this is important. Even though this looks silly,
The IP address of the session.
IPS
Yeah.
changes right, because see, my
It's a
instance does not
dynamic IP.
have elastic IP. If your instance does not have elastic IP, so you have restarted your instance, check the IP. Okay. Anything else?
Auto skills to launch a new instance. And
That's okay. That's okay. So I'm not trying to log into autoscale. Again, I have an instance which is a static instance. Okay. So this is, we don't know, but just now here we talk about network levels.
Connectivity. Yeah.
So security groups are for instance level securities. That's for instance level. Okay. So here we call them network level securities. So we call them NACL, but don't worry, I'll talk about, we'll be discussing them in the future. So that is also one more thing. So these are the few points you must debug them first. Okay. So yeah, any more questions? Well, thank you. And you can go through those, practice the rest of the scenarios from the document. So just try them. So try to create these CloudWatch alarms. Okay. So, and then average CPU utilization, discrete and write operations, and network. Also set up some SNS topics, and for Beanstack. Okay. That's okay. So try this Beanstack. If you don't worry, if you don't understand then the Beanstack, just launch according to whatever you understand. So JDK or Docker, whatever you understand, or Tomcat, just launch it. And finally, you just need to check it out whether it is launching a new instance. That's all, you should just check it out. And what platform you're going to launch it, that's okay, your choice. Finally, just launch a Beanstack instance, stop it, and also just set up the CloudWatch alarm. And then stop the instance and check the two things. First is whether alarm is being triggered, and second is another instance is being launched. Check these two for the Beanstack. Am I clear? Thank you.